Today, we are diving deep into a really fascinating way of thinking about how we get by in our social world. We're going to explore this idea of conscious role play. Think of it as a survival guide for basically any group or hierarchy you find yourself in. And it all boils down to one huge question. Are you in charge of the roles you play, or do those roles end up taking charge of you? So let's kick things off with a pretty bold statement from our source material. Life is a play, so act out its script. Now, hold on. This isn't about being fake or inauthentic, not at all. It's actually a call to be strategic. This whole metaphor, this idea of life as a play, it's the key to everything we're going to talk about today. It's the idea that sometimes surviving and thriving socially really depends on understanding the part you're expected to play. All right, so if we're going to understand our roles, first we have to see the stage itself. And you've seen this happen a million times, right? Every time we join a group, whether it's a new job, a club, even a team, the same pattern plays out. A group gets together, rules, spoken and unspoken, get set up, and pretty soon a hierarchy starts to form. This is the invisible architecture that kind of dictates how we're all supposed to act. And this slide right here, this makes that invisible structure totally visible. I mean, just think about it. In government, you've got presidents and advisors. In a company, you've got the CEO and the managers. In sports, there's always a coach and a captain. These aren't just titles, They're basically pre-written scripts for how to behave, and they're what keep the entire system from falling apart. So, what exactly is a social role? Well, it's just a set of expectations. It's the script that tells you how to act so the group can function. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. What happens when we get so caught up in the part that we forget we're just acting? What happens when the role starts to become who we really are?
And that question, that leads us to the dark side of this whole thing. This is what happens when the role completely takes over. The psychologist Philip Zimbardo actually has a name for this. He calls it the Lucifer effect. It's this chilling process where perfectly good people, when you put them under the right kind of pressure and the right environment, can turn into, well, something else entirely. The Stanford prison experiment back in 1971 is just a terrifying example of how fast this can happen. They took healthy, normal college students and randomly made them either guards or prisoners. And get this, within 2 days, just 2 days, the prisoners were having emotional breakdowns. And the guards, they had become cruel and aggressive. The power of the situation, of the role, totally steamrolled their actual personalities. Just let that sink in for a moment. This experiment was supposed to run for 2 full weeks. They had to pull the plug after only 6 days because it had become so toxic and psychologically damaging. Even the head researcher, Zimbardo himself, admitted that he got lost in his own role as the prison superintendent. It just goes to show you how unbelievably powerful these situations can be. And this isn't just something that happens in a lab. We saw this play out in the real world with the Abu Ghraib prison scandal. You had soldiers with zero history of this kind of behavior doing absolutely horrific things. So why? Well, the rotten barrel theory says it wasn't that they were all rotten apples, it was that the barrel itself, the system, the situation, was rotten. The pressure of the role was so intense it just warped everyone inside it. Okay, so that's the problem. And it's a scary one. But, and this is a really big but, there is a solution. Our source gives us a powerful strategy for taking back control, and it's called conscious role play. This is all about learning to consciously play your part within whatever system you're in, without ever letting that part consume who you are.
Now, the absolute key to making this work is understanding this one critical distinction. On one hand, you have public conformity. Think of this as putting on the mask. You're playing the part you need to play to survive, but deep down, you know it's a performance. On the other hand, you have private conformity, and that's when the mask becomes your face, when you actually start to believe the group's values are your own. The entire strategy is to get really good at the first one, so you never fall into the trap of the second. So you might be thinking, okay, that sounds great in theory, but how do I actually do it? How can I play the part without losing myself? Well, that's where this framework comes in. The source lays out 7 specific, actionable steps for survival. Think of this as your personal playbook for navigating any social stage you have to step onto. Okay, here they are, the 7 steps at a glance. Understand the role, execute your duties flawlessly, use pretending, sequence your self-expression, practice post-role self-care, maintain your boundaries, and finally reassess your environment. We're going to break down every single one of these because this is where the theory becomes a real tool you can use every day. First up, and this is so important, you have to read the room. You have to understand the role. Before you do anything, just watch. Observe. What are the rules that no one talks about? Who really has the power here? What does this group actually value, not just what they say they value? Things like, does everyone stay late just for show? Do you get ahead by being innovative or by just not rocking the boat? Acting without reading that social script first it's pure luck. Step 2 is all about building yourself a shield. And that shield is competence. You need to be undeniably good at what you're there to do. See, when you do your job flawlessly, it makes it really, really hard for anyone to criticize you. And this isn't just about keeping your job. It's about buying yourself freedom. Your competence becomes this kind of armor that gives you the space to be yourself in other ways. If you're the one person who knows how to do that critical thing, people are a lot less likely to bother you about the small stuff. All right, step 3 is where we really put that idea of public conformity into action. This is about the mental game of pretending. I want you to start thinking about your role as a game. You learn the rules, you figure out what it takes to win, and you play your best. But you never forget that it's just a game. That mental distance is everything. You're checking all the boxes, you're fulfilling the script, but you are not investing your soul. It's a performance, and you're the actor who's in control. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be a mindless drone forever. Not at all. Step 4 is all about being strategic with showing your true self. And the key here is timing or sequencing. First, you play the game. You meet the group's expectations, you prove you're competent, and you're a team player. By doing that, you build up trust. You build up social capital. Once you've created that foundation of safety for yourself, then you can start to let your real personality show, bit by bit. You've basically earned the right to be an individual because you've already proven your value. And let's be honest, all of this, it's work. Conscious role-playing takes a ton of mental and psychological energy. It can be draining. And that's why step 5 is absolutely non-negotiable. You have to practice self-care after you're done playing the role. When you walk off that stage for the day, you need routines and rituals that help you reconnect with the real you. Maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's hitting the gym, maybe it's just talking to friends who see you for you. Whatever it is, you have to do it to shed that mask and recharge. Okay, this step might just be the most important one of all. You have to maintain your boundaries. And to do that, you have to know, right now, what is your limit line? What is your absolute non-negotiable? What's the ethical red line that you will not cross no matter how much pressure you're under? You need to have that clearly defined in your own head before you're in a tough situation. This is your anchor. It's what keeps you from getting swept away when the group tries to push you somewhere you don't want to go. And that brings us to step 7. You have to be willing to reassess the environment. Because sometimes the only winning move is to not play at all. If you look around and realize you're in a rotten barrel, you need an exit strategy. And the source is very clear. You have to plan this exit secretly. If the group thinks you're on your way out, they might turn on you. So you keep playing your role on the surface, but underneath, you're quietly and carefully planning your escape. So when you put it all together, what's the big idea here? It's that playing a role isn't about being fake. It's actually a strategic tool for survival. The truly wise person knows how to observe the group, do their part flawlessly, and all the while protect their true, authentic self behind that mask they've chosen to wear. And that really leaves us with this one powerful final thought. The social pressures are real. The hierarchies are real. But by using a framework like this, you can make sure that even though you're in the play, you're the one holding the script. The whole goal is to be the actor, conscious, aware, and in control, and never just the character being pushed around the stage by someone else.